I suspect that there are areas where you just are not interested, you're not interested, or you're not looking at deals. Like one area I would point to is like the delivery and kind of home services, and this idea that, you know, some courier is going to come and like in the morning they're going to bring you an omelet, and then some other courier is going to come and pick up your dry cleaning, and somebody else is going to deliver groceries, and somebody else is going to, you know, that whole market where you have, you know, Instacart just did around. I suspect you must not pay a lot of attention to, but it feels to me like there's a lot of froth.
You know, we've looked at all these different things to some extent. There definitely are cases where it feels like valuations are high, where there's a decent amount of froth. I'm always uncomfortable when it gets defined as a market, where it's like the home delivery market with 20 companies doing it. So to the extent that that's the true description, you end up with, you know, it's going to be lots of competition,
right,
and you want to be careful about avoiding all of them. It's always possible, just to qualify this the other way, it's always possible, though, that you can have general categories that mislead you, where there's actually a specific thing that's different, that's somewhat obscure. So when I invested in Facebook back in 2004, there was a general category called social networking, and the anti-Facebook argument was it's just another social networking site. We know these things are fads, they come and go and they blow up. And this has been true of Friendster, you know, MySpace, you know, was another one. There've been a whole bunch of other of these early attempts, and perhaps what you actually had to do was recategorize it as solving the problem of real identity, which was how do you get people to put the real identities on the internet, which was actually very different from social networking, and turned out to be super valuable.
Well, and I love the fact that you had been an investor in Friendster, and you're basically watching that go down the tubes, I think, when you first met with Zuckerberg and looked at that opportunity.
There was a lot of idiosyncratic stuff that was off. Or, you know, my friend Reid Hoffman, who ended up starting started LinkedIn, had started in the 90s. He'd started a social networking company in 1997. The name of it was SocialNet. So they already had the name in the company 7 years earlier. And their theory was that it would basically consist of this virtual cyberspace where you'd have avatars, and you'd be a cat and I'd be a dog, and we'd have to figure out how we'd all interact with each other in this fictional virtual reality. And that was not real identity. So that didn't really work. So I think there's certainly a lot of. I think one thing that's extremely positive about Facebook is that it says that at the end of the day, real identity mattered more than fictional identity.
Well, also just that there's a lot